So, I've been working with Waste Picker for a long time. So, in 1993, we started the first union of waste pickers in Pune city. Myself and two other friends. Basically, why a union was nobody recognized them as workers, and workers themselves didn't recognize themselves as workers because all of them come from the Dalit community. And I was part of adult education department of SNDT Women's University at that time. We were Lijjat Papad was very big those days, so we got into it and everybody was making Lijjat Papad to sell. I said this is not working for me. We have to really identify who are the most marginalized in a city. So we started looking who is that, and then we were just walking around and we met lot of children waste picking. Through them we went to their homes and we said, if your job was better, will you send your children to school? So when we looked at them, even in the bastis like this, here mostly it is a tribal community. Tribal got into waste picking much later, still a small population. But when we moved into to a lot of slums in Pune, they were all in the outskirts. They were never allowed inside the slum also, and they had different water source. And I said, what are you doing? Oh, hum gandagi mein kaam karte hain. I mean, we work in waste and dirt. And we said there's something wrong here. So we started getting into it much more deeper and understood how much of waste they collect. And only now, because of Swachh Bharat, everybody is so big on door-to-door collection. Lot of citizens have gotten involved, but those days nothing of that sort was there. So we went with them. We went waste picking, and sometimes they would steal from the industrial estate. We would go do that, and then just get on to train without. Pune industrial estate is little further away, so you have to go by train. So we would get into trains with them without tickets. All that we did to really understand where they come from, what they do. And we said, my gosh, these people are collecting so much of waste, and we actually calculated how much of waste they collect and what is the solution, what is the economic contribution. And those days we found that 14.5 crores per year they were saving to Pune Municipal Corporation. Then a similar exercise we did it in Bangalore, and we took a sample only for 15,000. We believe that there are about 25 to 30,000 waste pickers in the city. We calculated for 15,000 population. We came up with a number of 84 crore rupees they save only in collection and transportation. So in both the cases, both in Pune and Bangalore, my feeling was that if they are saving so much money for the city, what is city giving it to them? Even in Pune, we said, okay, we'll go to different homes and then ask them to segregate. Will you go and pick up dry waste? So I'm talking about 93. So 94, in 20,000 households in Pune, we used to collect dry waste segregated. So when we started doing that, and we went to a commercial place and then said, why don't you give it? So white paper, they used to get a lot of white paper every day, almost like 500 kilos, 600 kilos. So they started giving. We were so happy, and then, waste pickers were happy. And one day suddenly they said, no, you can't come from tomorrow because we have given the contract to somebody. That time we realized how naive. I was also 24, 25. So we were so naive. So we have to do much more structurally, much more. Suddenly that waste was gone to that woman who had depended completely on that, giving up her routine of going on the street. So it just dawned on to us, you have to do it much more systematically and bring in some legislation that helps us where we stand. So then 2000, when Almitra Patel, one of our Bangalorean, put a case in Supreme Court and said there is no law for solid waste management, you have to look. So they formed a committee there to look at it, and they had come to Pune to see how we work. So since then they're talking about including waste pickers, because we had done an economic analysis of their contribution, and we kept saying city cannot live off of subsidized by the poor by their labor. Till 2016 we have been fighting, and finally in solid waste management rules in 2016, for the first time waste pickers are defined, and waste pickers are told to, I mean, the rule says that they have to be given opportunity to manage dry waste, that is plastic, paper, and other non-organic waste. Waste pickers in Bangalore, what happened? We had a lot of issues in Pune segregating the sanitary waste. You know that sanitary waste, you go to home. Then only we started the home to home collection. Swachh was the name of the cooperative we started. But when I came here, I saw a lot of engagement was happening around solid waste management. So there was solid waste management roundtable, which is a group of citizens which had started. They were talking very nice stuff like decentralized waste management, segregation of waste, and dry waste. I said you can't talk about waste without talking about waste pickers, because whenever the systems are broken in any city, it is waste pickers who fill that gap. If there was no waste pickers in the city and city did not pick up the waste, can you imagine how the city will be, right? So we said you are streamlining waste management, fine, but then you also see how you can integrate waste pickers. So we went to Lok Adalat, there was a case going on, so we implemented ourselves in that, and then said you have to give an occupational ID card. So occupational ID card for waste pickers was a big thing. When we asked them, they said, no, why should we give occupational ID card? We said, no, we have to. Otherwise, you will not even recognize these people and that they are contributing to the city. So then commissioner said, okay, and it had the logo of the city and signature of the commissioner. So this is like, this ID card is identical to what they give it to the mayor also in Bangalore. So, and we pushed Bangalore city to do three-way segregation. Everywhere you go, you see wet waste and dry waste. It's only in Bangalore wet waste, dry waste and sanitary waste separated. So at that time, there was nobody to talk to the commissioner. Rajneesh Goyal was there. So we sat there and said, you have to make it three-way, because we knew in Pune it was very difficult to make, and we told them you have to make it three-way. It's good for your management of the waste. Then if sanitary waste goes to organic waste, it is contaminated. If it goes to dry waste, it is contaminated. So we have to treat it separately. So that is Hasrudala's contribution. Of course, we don't go out and say, oh, we did it, because it's become a people's movement now, making three-way segregation. And the other contribution Hasrudala has made is 2 bin 1 bag. Have you heard about 2 bin 1 bag of segregation? So one of the citizen actually came and said, why don't you try this? We tried in about 1,000 households, and even today what you see that what goes into wet waste, dry waste and sani waste is done by Hasrudala. Again, it became a people's movement. Before we realized, we had a database of 1,50,000 people using it. So then waste pickers were very happy with this card, because waste pickers were harassed by the police. They were harassed by the citizens saying, what are you doing? What are you picking? You're a thief. That was the regular thing that they would get labeled as. They would just, there is a theft in that area, they would round them up. If they wanted to thief, they wouldn't walk 10 kilometers a day, bend 1,000 times to pick up the waste, right? So then when we started doing talking to the government and said, okay, you do decentralized of waste management, that is dry waste collection centers. Many of might have heard about it. So each ward is supposed to have dry waste collection center. This is a center where all inorganic waste of that ward comes. So the dry waste collection center, they built the infrastructure. For the first time, government did their job. We thought some CSR will come and help us with bridge the gap of running that the cost to make it cost effective. Not one company came forward. This I'm talking about 2011. For the first time, city followed what they promised, but what we thought that there will be a lot of support from CSR never came through. Then we went and talked to waste pickers. They said, okay, give us a weighing scale, give us some basic stuff. We will take a loan and we'll run it on a business principle. So that's how it started. Today we have 141 centers. Whether they are up and running is another story we can tell, but at least physically we got the space and structure, and more are coming now. So and then we trained our waste pickers through Jain College. Jain College has been very supportive of our work. Before it was a business school, so we would see students coming in Jaguar and Benz, and we also see waste pickers coming into the same office, same college. For them also, it was a very nice thing that I'm coming to a college. Our office is in our college. So there, with the Jain College, we started a 4-day certification course, spread over 4 weeks, and then one exposure trip. And this is the only kind of university certified course in India. So these dry waste collection centers are managed by them. We support 33 of such dry waste collection center, and we told the city, like, look, you can actually segregate waste and collect it segregated days, with separate contractors. So we engaged a citizen to help us to push for segregation at source and for them to collect it. So citizens started making noise. This is working well. Twice a week he is coming. So our street corners are better. And also we showed that waste pickers can actually run the dry waste collection center. We showed they are the entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs who can actually engage with the citizens to bring in change. And citizens were happy because if they had missed giving a waste, or they had missed picking up the waste, they would call and immediate services were there. So people were happy. And in the beginning, in 2011, they said we cannot give dry waste collection center in the name of waste pickers. So they were willing to give it in the name of Hasiru Dala, which was not even registered organization. At least waste pickers had an ID card. We didn't have any of those. Then we continuously engaged with the city and said you have to give it in the name of waste picker, because waste pickers are permanent, Hasiru Dala is not. And the more waste they collect, the more money they make. So it is in their self-interest to collect more dry waste. So then finally, I think 2016 or something, we got like 14-15 centers in the name of waste pickers. So the MOU is between the city and the waste picker, and we are third party to just support the whole process. And Swachh Bharat Abhiyan team came and they saw and said, my God, we have never seen something like this, and they got a lot of marks for that. Even though overall we rated very low, but for waste picker integration they got a lot of marks. So then the city said something we are doing right, so let's do this throughout the city. So in 2019 they said all dry waste collection center MOU has to be made in the name of waste pickers, and third party will be an NGO to support. We have the capacity to do 50. We can only do it and show. The rest the city should do it. Even in 2011, I used to go to college and schools and ask, what is your opinion? When you see a waste picker, what do you think? They say dirty, poor, sad, all that they would say. But the same question when I asked in today's schools and colleges, they always say environmentalists, they are doing something good. So the whole image we wanted to change, and that has happened. We are not saying they have to continue to work the way they work. We definitely want a better kind of working condition, but definitely we want their children to have an option. The better condition of work you give for parents, children don't go to work, they go to school. And nationally also we worked on a scholarship specifically for children of waste pickers with the night soil workers children, and they get about 3,500 this year from this year per year, so that they can buy whatever needed. But generally in government school everything is free, but most people want to send them to private schools. So that comes, and even if SC/ST children is there, 2,500 rupees they get, but this particular scholarship you get 3,500. So when that happened, there was an independent study made by FSG Consulting last year. This we had also not thought about it, which showed that after Hasiru Dala has come into operation in Bangalore, the child labor in this sector has come down. So this is so that is what we want, and our children are going to school now. We have a lot of children program, and children we have something called Buguri. Buguri is, if you don't know Kannada, Buguri means stop. So it's the name of the library. So we don't get into academics at all. We go into reading skills. So we have seen that academic score is going up, just improving the reading skill. This month is a read aloud month. So today we launched read aloud in our office. We connect with about At least last year we connected 2,500 children from different government schools and waste pickers colonies. This year we are aiming to reach 3,500 children and their parents to tell what is read aloud and why they should read for children. So many of our waste pickers don't read, of course, so they come to the libraries and stuff. So this time we have a radio program also on community radio. So we are planning to reach about 3,500 children this month. So what we have done is only facilitation. We don't get into like, okay, I will set up a huge scholarship fund. We do have scholarship fund, which is very little amount, but what we do is leverage what is available in the government schemes and all that. So last year about 4,500 schemes that we leverage for the waste pickers. What happens? Everybody wants digital India. All the social security has become digital. So there is no last mile connect. As a waste picker, how will I go to a computer, apply for a application, right? So that is what we do. We facilitate. We have very small schemes for from the private donation. We have more schemes that we leverage from the government. So we started teaching them how to manage other waste. They are used to doing dry waste. How do you compost? How do you do biogas? So skill upgradation is we do. We tried out biogas is going quite well, but the opportunities are less now. We used to manage 7 biogas of the city. Then composting, lot of people have got work in composting. We also tried out gardening. It didn't succeed. They are not very happy because where they can get gardening is like in villa communities, which is generally in the outskirts, which became really not viable economically to do it. So that we have stopped. Some of our children now have gone to CPET, is a national institute, central government institute, which teaches how to do recycled products and plastic training. And usually it's a male dominated area. We're happy to say 3 girls have gone and learned. So we are going to start our recycling unit soon. We are waiting for PCB permission. So looking at waste pickers as a whole community is what we have done. So there are very few bastis like this where it's predominantly waste pickers. There may be about 5 or 6 of them, but otherwise there are 25 people in one payment, another 30 people somewhere else. So organizing them is not very easy because we have to keep going to these places which is very far away from each other. So we still do it. We have about 12,000 people that we work with, around 8 to 9,000 in Bangalore itself. That is kind of very briefly what we have done in Hasrudala. So now today Hasrudala is recognized as a waste picker organization, but it is also recognized as a organization that works with waste, because labor and environmentalists never go along. Labor movements and environmentalists never saw eye to eye, because sometimes their whatever was good for the environment was not necessarily good for labor, and so on and so forth. So in Bangalore we have been able to strike a chord between the two, and we have a balance. And in between, in 2012 actually, a lot of citizens came and said, we are segregating waste, but people are mixing it and taking it. We have tried with contractors to make it work. We have tried it with many NGOs. Since you are a labor organization, maybe you can do it? So we kept thinking what to do. Then we said, okay, let us try. We talked to some of the waste pickers. They said yes, they are willing to try it out. And we sat and then thought. There were 3 apartments in Bellandur which came forward to do it. There was absolutely no market, zero market for waste management. So we had to create a market, right? So people who run a business know how difficult that is, right? And then we came up with a business model where we say there are 2 kinds of payment that you have to make. One is regularly you pay 15 rupees per household. And then we weigh your wet waste, we weigh your dry waste, we weigh your reject waste, sanitary waste. You give us 2 rupees for wet waste, and we give back 2 rupees for dry waste, and then you give us 3 rupees for sanitary waste. That's how we started. They were very happy. I said at the end of the month we'll give you your invoice with how much of waste you have created, then you pay. that it became almost 45 rupees per household. They were okay with it. You know, and then we told the MC, people who didn't want to segregate waste, they're putting all that waste into your reject waste, so your the 3 rupees a kilo becomes more. So we started working with the apartment complex, the children. We had created a lot of workshop for kids, adults, and then maids and housekeeping staff and everybody there. Then they saw that pricing of their billing started coming lower. So in about the first year, we on an average 310 grams of reject waste we used to get per household per day, 310. And with this education and all that, it came up to 105 grams. So it was a huge difference. So the quantity of waste didn't change, but at least the segregation behavior changed. So when we started that, we didn't know where we are getting into, and suddenly, just word of mouth, we were 45 apartments we were servicing. So we are very good at working with people, not with the business, right? So we needed a business rigor for it. We needed a infusion of investment, because this is a very expensive collection system. So and also we needed a operation rigor. We used to get like 20-25 calls a day. They came late to pick up, your vehicle is broken down. We said this doesn't work. We wanted to do cooperative actually. So our cooperative system in Karnataka is very, very old. I mean, I would say old school of thought. So, and also we were not willing to pay any bribe to get it registered. So we managed it for 2 years. We pulled, and the final one they said we have to give 85,000 bribe, and we said we are not going to do, and we dropped it. So then we kept thinking, and then with the present government system, nothing other than the company structure works. With all the incentives and everything given to companies, and non-profits were really getting bad name in this government. So we decided to start a company, Hasrudala Innovation Private Limited, and we have modeled a franchisee model. Even in that was also franchisee model was also started by the trust, where a waste picker comes with a truck, and we give so many houses to manage. We tell the destination where it should go, and then that person we give it, and he in turn hires people to do it. So even in dry waste collection center, we believed in micro enterprise, and here also we did. So the company also took the same model. So I'm very happy to say the company is doing very well now. We still have to go a long way to break even, but we have about 265 apartments and about 105 corporates we service, and 20 the franchisee has become 29 franchisees. All of them are filing their income tax returns. So and then we also started something called event waste management. We did the first event in one of the destination wedding. So in that we didn't know how to even find out how many people we need. Nothing we knew. So I was involved. So today we are managing a wedding of 100 people to marathon of 55,000. So we do all the marathons in Delhi, the major marathons in Delhi, Calcutta, Mumbai and Bangalore. So we learned over the period of time how to do it. So all these business model was tried out by a trust, but we couldn't scale up. All these three we were doing. Then now everything the company has taken over to kind of do it. So we have seen a huge difference. There is a lot of people who go for events from this area also, because now the door-to-door collection has become better in Bangalore. So there is no waste on the street. The money that waste picker makes have become less. Waste picker like freedom. They are entrepreneurs. They don't like this 9-to-5 jobs. Some of them do, because of that gives a predictable income, but most of them like this short term and on their own kind of a job. So in this Basti we have tried many times to put them into 9-to-5 jobs. We have never been successful. So now Hasrudala is just focused on social justice issue, and Hasrudala Innovation looks at the economic justice issues. So so we do get recognition for the work that we have done for sure. And I have to say it is the citizens who have supported us, the city government has supported us a lot, and that is why we came here. But overall, there are a lot of children who have gotten into waste management. I mean, gotten into school. We have two of our girls who are graduating from engineering this year, and many of them are graduates. Even our own office staff, 9% of our staff are waste pickers community. We want to move it to 25% soon, maybe in 3 years. Many of our children are not educated, so they have to get educated and then join our struggle. So this is the story of Hasrudala. I've taken more than half an hour. So.